monologue from a movie called Still of the Night. My character is a suspect in her lover's death. The setting is family estate, and she explains to her psychiatrist why her father died an accidental death and her guilt with that death. The house belonged to my mother. I grew up here. They separated when I was little, but I remember, well, that's when she started to drink. Anyway, I was 16, I was away at school when they called and told me she finally drank herself to death. They didn't say that, but that's what it was. I remember I felt nothing for her. No remorse. Nothing. After the funeral, my father came and he took me back to Florence, where I lived for 2 years. It was the happiest I've been in my entire life. The cobblestone streets, the piazzas. We lived on top of this villa. We lived on top of a hill in a villa overlooking the Piazza Michelangelo. We went to great concerts. We went to all the art museums. Leonardo da Vinci, I saw all his paintings, and Michelangelo, Raphael. We dined at the best restaurants and shopping. It was a dream for a girl of 16. Then, my 18th birthday in June, I came into my inheritance. And all these lawyers came over, and there were all these documents to sign. In among all these papers was this letter that my mother had written me not too long before she died. In it, she said that she had always loved me. She was sorry I hadn't known that. She told me my father had turned me against her, and that had broken her heart. She said he never loved her. He was just interested in the money. And she said he never loved me either. He only pretended to as a weapon against her. So I was supposed to go back and sign all those documents, but I couldn't. I just wanted to get away, so I went to this chapel that was nearby. But there were all these tourists there. So I went up into the bell tower. My father followed me. I saw him coming up the steps. I quickly ran to the top. He was very upset. He wanted to know what was in that letter, but I didn't want to show him. I didn't want to see him. I just wanted to get away, but he wouldn't let me. So I showed him the letter. He was shaking. I remember the paper was even shaking when he read it. And when he was finished, he folded it very carefully and he gave it back to me. Then he made a joke about my mother. He said she was probably drunk when she wrote it. And then he smiled at me. And I knew at that moment that she was right about him. He came towards me with his arms out, I suppose to embrace me, but the look on his face, it terrified me. And I moved back against the rail, and he grabbed me, and he held me so tight against that rail. And that's when I said to myself, that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to kill me. And I twisted myself around, and I hit him as hard as I could. And the whole rail broke, and he went down. And he said my name. But I couldn't move. I just couldn't move. There was some scandal at first, but it never amounted to anything. You see, everyone knew how much we loved each other.